Thanks for joining us. I am, of course, SunPhoenix. I just realized for the first time I've never ever introduced myself.
Why? Why
In
do you need
seven
to?
Episodes,
Why do you need to introduce yourself? Everybody knows who you
in
are,
seven
dude.
episodes, I've never introduced myself. Um, anyways, I'm SunPhoenix for the first time, and I'm joined by my usual co-host, Mr. GeneralSound, as you heard,
Good evening, everybody.
and we're joined by quote unquote special, quote unquote guest, Mr. CloudBurst. Welcome.
Thank you so much, guys. Hopefully, I won't be a special guest for much longer. I'll
Wow, he
become
wants
more
to
of
leave
a...
already.
Yo, what?
No!
One minute into
I
the
feel
podcast.
I'm hurt, dude. I'm hurt.
I'd like to become more of a regular on this production. I can see that happening in future though. So don't get worried too soon, guys. Not going anywhere just yet.
Yeah, our plan with Cloud is kind of he's working on the back end as an extra eye on things, extra ideas man, but he's also going to be probably a rolling guest, a rolling regular host alongside Gastlee, who's not here right now, but might join us later. We'll have to see what his plan is. But yeah, hopefully Cloud will be joining us every so often. And yeah, and we so no special guest for today, no real special guest. But we're just
Now
gonna
I'm
be
hurt.
well, one for one. Um, so we'll just be talking about the upcoming leg, which started on Monday technically, but of course, first matches only got started on Thursday. So we'll just be doing our predictions, power rankings, that sort of thing, looking at the 102 transfers and also talking about the promotees and relegated people
People.
in both legs teams. And yeah, just discussing how we think the next leg's going to play out. So, why don't we get started as we do in First Division? I think we usually start in First Division.
I think that's a good place to start
Yeah.
from the bottom to the top, guys.
Exactly. Save the best for last. And that's why we're starting with Phoenix Rising. No, I'm kidding. So First Division is an interesting one. Like last leg, super exciting division. We didn't know who was going to go through until the last match on the last day. Equinox and Perseus, I believe it was, facing each other off for that final spot. Perseus ended up taking it and going through into Premier Division, and that meant Equinox staying in First Division for another leg, but not disappointed at all with that result, considering it was their first experience of league play. But going up, let's first talk about going up from ladder. We had XVG Solstice, the second XVG team, promoted into ladder, and of course Chronic Wolfpack, not to be confused with Chronic Underdogs, who are the previously First Division team that performed really well in Leg 2, I believe it was. So yeah, those are the two new teams coming up. And then dropping down from Premier Division was, of course, Phoenix Rising, Overwatch, and DDC Dominion. So why don't we start near the top? Who are we looking at as our top teams for this division? Let's start with CloudBurst here for obvious reasons.
Okay, I'm not the expert of First Division. I'm much more aware of what's happening in Prem. I must say, if we just look at who was in Premier before, Phoenix Rising, of course, a very good team. I must say, I give it to both of you guys. You put in a lot of work there. Bit sad to see you guys relegated though, but definitely top of the log. And second from that, Project Orflex Res, I think they're a very good team. I've seen them put up a lot of work, and currently on the standings they are actually sitting on both the teams I've mentioned are sitting on one win. We're not very far in the leg at all.
I believe
but
you
they're
casted
already
the game.
showing-
Sorry to
I
interrupt.
did cast Project Orflex Res versus OG in Terraces, and
Yeah.
Project Orflex took that 3-0 quite convincingly. And I do think they deserve that one by all means. So, and I also watched the match of Phoenix Rising versus Chronic Wolfpack. And I think Chronic Wolfpack very, very new to the scene, coming in from ladder up to first div. Phoenix Rising put up an extremely good fight against them, held them back through most of the chokes going forward. Also a 3-0 finish. But I do see quite a lot of potential in Chronic Wolfpack as well. So I don't want to leave them sleeping at all, but Phoenix Rising definitely has a lot more experience. And I'd say those are the two top teams currently sitting there in first division. I would say easily third, in my opinion, would be our Evo Evolution Esports, who have recently rebranded from their previous ADG Alley Dogs Gaming. So seeing them move over, getting an MGO behind them, I could see quite a lot of resources being put towards them improving. And coming up quite shortly is XVG Equinox versus them, them being Evolution Esports, which is going to be an exciting one to see. I'm not too sure of XVG Solstice. Interitus, I want to see them work well. I do see rather simple mistakes in the match that I watched between them and Project Orthodox Res that they need to sort out. So at the moment, I'm ranking them kind of middle ground. Don't know enough about Solstice. DDC Dominion have been such an up and down team from what I have spectated of them.
Yeah.
I've seen some extreme highs from them, but I've also seen some very, I wouldn't say extreme lows, but I've seen a lot of average play from them. There's nothing, every now and then there's none of that brilliance that you do see from them, and I think that's going to be their downfall, and seeing which one of those two sides of the coin they can keep up more consistently is going to be a very important thing going into this leg. And XVG Equinox, I would also put rather on the middle ground there. They're quite a well-oiled engine going,
Yeah.
but also once again, I would say over here they have very consistent play, but nothing over the top that needs to get them that extra, for lack of a better word, that extra oomph to really push them to the top of the rankings.
I think at the end of last season they picked up. Well, he was already in the team. Not in the team, like just practicing in the background with him at the end of last league. Was Necros, and he's now active in the roster. They signed him up. He's a 3.7.
This is on Evo, eh?
Yeah. Is it Evo Vector? Evo Vector, yeah. No, Evo Vector or Evo...
Evolution Esports, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually notified
I'm
not to call them Vector anymore.
Okay. Evolution Esports, yeah, no, they picked him. Necros is a 3.7 player hovering around there, so he's a huge addition to the squad. And he's of the Genji main from reading from the website, and I have him as a friend on my profile. He plays a lot of Ryan and he plays a lot of DPS, so he's a very flexible player, so his knowledge might translate well for the team.
Yeah, more than just his skill, that extra knowledge base that he'll bring, that coaching power, whether he's willing to do that or not, but that higher skilled player just lifts the level of your team so much.
Yeah, and they are, like I said, and we mentioned in previous podcasts, a team that also grinds a lot and wants to get better. And we also need to have to mention that the guy was on our stream last time, Ali B. He's left the roster. He was the captain and owner of the team before they got taken over by Evolution Esports. And it's a bit of a tough one because me and him were quite good friends in the Overwatch community, and
that's right. You were coaching them briefly.
Yeah, coaching them, and it's a surprise. I haven't really chatted to him about it, but I think life has hit him hard, and he had to make that decision if he wants to play games or you know what I mean, sort out his life. And at the end of the day, this is a game, and it's something like we're not on that level where we can be like, screw life. I just want to play video games yet. So hopefully we see him return and he sorts out these things, what he has to do, and come back and maybe even stronger.
From what I can gather, he's keen to return. There's no bad blood or anything like that. That was just him saying, I need to put time into my life.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm sure if he gets to the point where he's got the free time, he'll come back into casting or playing again maybe, or even just coaching and general leadership for his own team. I'm sure he's very willing and excited to do that if he gets the opportunity. But let's get it nailed down. So CloudBurst, give me your top three, first, second, and third of First Division.
First, second, third, and First Division. Oh my. Okay. I'm gonna have to put it the way I said it previously. I'd say in first place, just from sheer experience and showing up from what I've seen them play, would be Phoenix Rising. Well done, lads. You guys definitely deserve that. First in First Division from me. Second from that, I think I'm actually gonna put Evolution Esports. I think they having an MGO being picking them up. They have a
Yeah.
lot more resources to improve, and they are very willing to improve, which I think is a very big thing for teams going forward. They want to do better. They want to be in that Prem division, and I mean, in this case, they want to be at Comic-Con. They want to be playing. And then third from that, I would say that's going to be a tight in between
Mhm.
Project Allflex Res and DDC Dominion. I'm not too sure which one should take in front there. I think Project Allflex Res is more consistent, but I think Dominion is able to, for lack of a better phrase, pop off a bit more than them.
Like,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's the top three for
some
me.
team I do want to
Mhm.
mention is Equinox, who's also like at the end of the mid to end of last league, they really put up some really good performances, beating Omnians. And
Ominence. Yeah.
Ominence, or it's so confusing to say their name sometimes. But now they're not part of OG anymore.
Yeah, so that makes it less
less
confusing,
Yeah.
thankfully.
So,
But it
yeah,
makes it harder for us because we have to call them ominous.
yeah.
Before we just call them OG,
OG.
Yeah.
much
And
to the chagrin of the other teams.
And I really think with Equinox, a team that showed that they can play against the big names in Division 1, they can still see a few surprises, definitely. So, and I believe that
So
they didn't do well against Project Allflex as well last league. Didn't do that bad, I mean, sorry.
Equinox, they beat them in their first match.
No,
Was
it was
that
actually
them?
that was Evolution
That
Esports.
was
Yeah.
Slinky. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So Jen, give me your top three. No bias, objectively.
Okay, no bias. Okay, very unbiasedly, I'm choosing Phoenix Rising first.
Oh, you heard it. Yeah, that was
I think-
objective.
I'm just kidding. I love my team. I think we can take this division really like easily if we, play to our strengths.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful with calling it easy there. Hey?
Yeah, no, like like on paper we can just like I have to be confident, and hopefully my team is listening to this, because I hope that the confidence stirs down.
Yeah.
And second, I would say it's a tough one. Second, probably gonna have to go with it's hard, dude. There's so much teams that's so like close.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Because last league it was like up and down who's gonna be first and second, and it was very, very tight. And I like Project Allflex, what they can bring up to the hopefully they got a good start this league. Previous leagues they really had slow starts and lost a few maps. I mean, a few games, and now they started with a win, and hopefully this will bring confidence to them and go from strength to strength. And I don't know much about DDC. Their roster keeps changing, but I have to go with CloudBurst on this one. Also, Evolution Esports can turn heads. I don't want to say Equinox as well, but Equinox maybe. It's hard to say, dude.
Yeah,
But
there's
yeah,
so many
so-
teams that you
so
like.
it's like,
this
for
team can
me,
make it, this
it's-
team can make it.
For me, it's a tie. Second and third, it's gonna go down for Project Allflex, Evo Esports, and DDC Dominion. They're gonna battle it out for that spots. And yeah,
If you had to pick one, though.
I had to pick one just because of the experience, and they've been in Prem and came back with DDC.
Okay, fair
Just
enough.
because of they know what it's like to be in Vision 1 and Prem.
Yeah, and they play with the kind of confidence that some of these other teams might not have.
Yeah.
I'd actually 100% agree with Jen here, in that I think we, Phoenix Rising, on paper, we should be playing much better than we are, but I think we'll use this time in First Division to build that confidence and get up to a level we're comfortable with. And I think we're going to, I hope we'll be quite strong this league. And our performance yesterday, I was happy with that performance. It was a good start. People were
Yeah.
feeling good, people were playing well, so we can keep that momentum going. We shouldn't have an issue topping out the league.
The chain review helped us a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I always wanna gate Lal and be like, Yeah, what
Told you,
Jane
Lau.
said. You ripped him. You ripped him.
You still
And
need to
he's
still.
chasing butterflies.
Ever watch that VOD? We still need to give him a stern talking. Don't worry, guys. It's on the cards. We're just
I
waiting
think he
for
gave
another mess up.
himself-
We're just waiting for
Yeah,
another
yeah.
mess up.
I think he gave himself a strong talking to though,
Yeah.
because I think it took him by surprise. He didn't realize
Yeah,
how it looks when he plays. You know.
yeah,
Because he the mindset that Jane attributed to him was kind of a solo queue mindset. I'm gonna win the game by myself. You know that's actually not his mindset at all, which is crazy.
Mm.
When you watch the way he plays, you're like, yeah, it actually does look
Yeah.
like that.
because that's like bad habits to pick up from playing competitive solo
Mhm.
queue a lot. Play solo queue, you wanna make things happen. You wanna open a team fight, like get that first pick for the team, and it happens. And
Mm.
once
Yeah, you want to be the playmaker.
yeah, and
Exactly.
it like at the end of the day, if somebody mentions that, you don't realize you're doing it because you tunnel vision most of the time, and you think, oh, the team is probably just around the corner from me. But meanwhile, you're on the other side of the map trying to kill a Zenyatta, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Trying to 1v1 a Widows of Pharaoh.
Yeah.
But I think it is good for him because Jane is a mind he respects as well.
Yeah.
So to hear that from him specifically was quite an important thing for him, I think. But anyways, moving on from us, I would say in second place, I'm expecting it as it's listed here, Project All Flex Res. I think, I give them a lot of kudos. They disappointed me last leg by finishing third. I thought for sure they'd top the group out, but unfortunate for them, they didn't quite make it. But I think they're a strong team, and like you say, Jen, with a strong opening here, they can carry this momentum towards throughout the rest of the leg, and hopefully finish in second place pretty solid. And then third place, that's where it gets, like you said, so it gets complicated for me. But I'm gonna have to go. I'm feeling lucky. I think Equinox has shown to the COWSA Awards, or at least the COWSA Awards showed that Equinox is a team to be reckoned with. They put themselves on the map in a big way last leg. A lot of teams, I don't know if you followed that, Cloud, but Equinox swept a lot of awards from first division. That was really impressive. Guys like Blur. Now I can't remember any of the other players' names, so now I look really stupid. Obvious.
Bad, son, bad.
Yeah. That's when you start a sentence and you don't know where it's going. But yeah, they really impressed. So I'm gonna put my eggs in their basket, and say that they'll finish out third, and maybe even second, and maybe even first. Who knows?
Who knows?
That's the one drop first division. Anyone can finish anywhere.
Yeah. Well, something I would just like to ask in regards to that. I know you're going to continue with the third place, so sorry to interject there, but who would you guys say is your biggest threat in first division?
I'm very scared of Project All Flex, and I don't know. Maybe DDC. Maybe they've been scrimming a lot, just because we had when we did play against them, the set plays was really good. Even though we did thrash them 3-0, and they still had moments where they kept us aside. You know what I mean? It's just they failed to keep that momentum after they won a team fight. But
yeah, lacking. Set plays are good, but still lacking in cohesion.
Yeah. So you never know, they might have fixed it up, and they had a main tank issue, and looks like they picked up a main tank in Thugs maybe because Corpia has left their roster.
Yeah.
So we're expecting the main tank position to be a lot stronger. So that will open up a lot of space for Bros, who's also a high Masters DPS player.
Yeah, so, I don't know what the story with Bros is though, because he didn't play against us.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's there just as a kind of sub on and off, or if he's playing every game and just didn't play against us. I don't know what the story is there.
Yeah, so we don't know yet. We haven't heard a lot from them, what they're doing, and yeah. So let's see. Hopefully one of the games gets casted, so we can get a third eye on that.
An eye on them. Yeah, I think I would agree with Jen again. Project All Flex is a scary team on their day. They can beat us. They would have beat us in Leg 2 before Jen and Hammy and NLT joined. They would have beat us if they'd been able to field 6 players, I
Yeah.
think.
And then
So they're a really strong team, scary team to face. And Dominion, again, just
Yeah.
because of their experience and also the unknown factor, I don't know what they're going to run and what their roster's looking like
Yeah.
yet. So
But
can't count
then
them out.
again, also like also special mentions to Evo and the other teams we mentioned before, Evo and Equinox. Same Evo, we don't know with Necros in the roster what they're gonna do. So it's still a very open game. Like all we need to do is just make sure we take game by game and play to our strengths, and that's all. Like if we can do that and keep an eye out on whatever games gets casted and see what they run, we can get an idea of how to shut them down and play our game.
Yeah, 100%. Just to fill if some of the guys who are new to the scene with regards to qualification for Comic-Con, because how it worked last year, we had a whole a really complicated, needlessly complicated cup
I
setup.
believe it was complicated, yeah. I remember that actually.
Um,
I entered some of the cup games with Aftermath when I was still on.
Yeah, so how it works is there were 2 community cups, one in kind of beginning of the year and one in the middle of the year. And if you won those, you got automatic qualification to the championships, which was at
Yeah.
Rage last year.
And I remember
And
so
if you were top 4 in Prem, you got automatic qualifications.
and if you're on
That's
top of the
6
ladder
teams.
as well. Because
Yes.
remember noobs who got through, like even though they disbanded, they used the ladder to get into the.
They didn't. They used the first community cup. to get
Okay.
through.
But I know if you were
They
on top
won
of.
the first community cup. Eden won the second one, and so that's why when the. So let me finish, Jen.
Yeah,
Don't
sorry.
interrupt me. It's
God
it's
damn
a
it.
whole long story. So top 4 of Prem at the end of leg 4, they automatically qualified, and the bottom floor of Prem and the top 4 of First Division for leg 4, they faced off in a playoffs cup, where the top 3, as it turned out, would qualify for Comic-Con. So presuming we've got the same kind of situation happening this year, we don't quite know all the things, and the cups have been removed, but that shouldn't be a huge difference. So what I'm expecting to happen is at the end of the leg, the top 4 of First Division will play in the playoffs cup, and the bottom 4 of Prem will also play in that same playoffs cup, and it works just like a round robin group stage, just like a normal leg, and whoever comes out top 2 in that, top 4 in that, will qualify for Comic-Con. So just bear that in mind. I think we're looking at top 4 of the key positions in First Division and top and bottom for qualification in Premier Division to Comic-Con.
I quite like that because that allows for teams in First Division to still make it.
Exactly.
And it gives you more of a. I like the narrative that brings for teams going forward. It allows for a lot more of a broader player base to take place in what I guess we could call is the most esteemed or the most premier tournament that we'll have for the year, currently 2018.
Yeah, as far as we know right now.
As far as we know. So working off that, I like that. It gives.
So what is it? Is it the first 2 First Division that goes into the cup?
The way it worked last year was the first 4, and that would make sense if there's 8 going to Comic-Con, like there was last year, which will be 2 groups of 4 at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So you'd have your top 4 First Division versus your bottom 4 of Prem.
Oh, okay. Oh shit, my alarm's going
Yeah.
off. I'll give me a sec.
Yeah,
so that's pretty great. So I mean, so there's potentially you'll get a mix of Prem and First Division against the top 4 of Prem. Overall, of course, there's a new bracket created once at Comic-Con with that. But
yeah, so how they did it last year was just they seeded it where first qualification plays against last qualification. They did Swedish groups, GSL style groups, Swiss groups.
okay.
Sorry. So where you've got A plays A, B plays B, then winner of A plays winner of B. You know how that goes. If you don't know how that goes, look it up. It's like impossible to explain, but it's super simple to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Once you see the chart, like the graphic, you'll get it
Exactly.
instantly.
It's like, oh wow, that actually makes so much sense. But to hear someone say it to you, it's like, what are you
What in
talking
the
about?
world are you taking?
Exactly. So that's how it worked. So we qualified. We didn't qualify, and then noobs couldn't go, and AM your team, Jen,
Yeah, we
Alpha
yeah.
Aftermath,
We
they
disbanded, yeah. We
couldn't go,
disbanded, yeah.
and we were second in line after DDC, I believe it was, to go
So
to
thanks to
Comic Con,
us, you went
and
to
so two teams
Comic-Con.
left. Yeah, just thanks to you, we went to Comic Con. Not Comic Con, Rage at the time,
Damn Rage, yeah.
with Mutant and Red as part of us. And then, yeah, so we ended up facing Eden because they were obviously top of the log in our first match. So that was really cool. We lost, and then we played Nova X, and we beat them pretty easily. To Lal, who was playing for Nova X at the time.
Was Lal playing for
Uh,
Nova X? I didn't actually know
Yeah,
that.
sorry, Ripcord is playing for Nova X. So, oh god, no, I can't get into that. That's a whole nother long
That's
story.
okay.
We need to get a move on here. But it's so yeah, that's how the seeding worked. As you qualify, you'll play. It's A versus H, etc., etc. But yeah, that was a little side step just to give some context about what we're looking at here, where teams want to be ending up at the end of this leg. First division teams still have a good chance of qualifying for Comic Con. So if you can finish top 4 in first division, you got it all to play for, and that's the cool thing about that format. So that's first division. We're thinking top 4 is going to be some mix of Phoenix Rising, All Flex, Dominion, Equinox, and Evo. 4 of those 5 teams will be going through in the top. That's pretty unanimous. Now we come on to Premier Division. So Premier Division has been through a lot in the last 3 legs. First leg we had Eden on top. First leg we had Boosters on top. Second leg we had Boosters, Eden, and GG all tied for first place.
Yeah.
And third leg, we had Eden and Unidentified fighting at the top, but Eden looked a cut above the rest, ultimately.
Yeah.
So how do we think first Premier Division is going to play out? Who I'll start with you, Jen, this time. Who do you think is going to be top 3 of Premier Division?
For me, I expect Eden again to just be very strong this leg again. It showed the last leg how strong they were. Like, they're a team that needed the likes of like a Luke on the team. And he showed really like good composure as a DPS player, and yeah, we all knew his quality coming from the Pulse days and Noobs Inc. days. And now he's just adding another dimension to Eden, and yeah, for me they're too strong at the moment. And second will be too strong. Yeah,
Nerf them, they're OP.
they are, and with 10-20 and like a Luke and Centacle all being carries in the game, it's hard to shut one of them down, or at least 2. And for me, second will be unidentified. They're a team that just showed they are a dominant force, beating Boostio's 3-0. If I recall correctly, I might be wrong.
3-3-1, I want to say, but I could be wrong about that.
But I know it was a very like easy game for Unidentified, which was very surprising for everybody watching. And then third will be if Boostio's, I'm 100% sure with the likes of Visions and Barnacle and Patches all on in the helm, they'll be working hard to prove us wrong.
100%. And I know Vision said he's been concentrating on his team a lot.
Yeah.
In some chat somewhere. So they've definitely been putting in work.
Yeah.
To make up for a disappointing leg last week.
But like it stands, just because of the knowledge we have from from looking outside in, is that for me the power rankings. It's 3-1. Okay. 3-1, so the power rankings for me is Eden Unidentified, Boostio's, Goliath Gaming, and that for me is the top 4. And it's gonna be hard to say like second and third again same year. You never know what, like, because of the last 3 legs, how everything changes all the time. We never know. So yeah.
Mm. But just in terms of your personal power rankings,
hmm
what do you think?
Yeah, like
Who's
personal
going to be
power
second,
rankings.
third, and fourth?
Personal power rankings will be Eden, Unidentified, and Boosters. Yeah.
Okay, and Goliath in fourth,
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
of the top four.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty clear, you can jump in here, CloudBurst, there's a pretty clear gulf between, not gulf is a bit of an overstated word, but a pretty clear gap between the top 4 teams and the second 4 teams in Premier Division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that quite greatly. Save from Unidentified, the top 3, just taking Unidentified away from the picture here. I know
Mhm.
that Goliath Gaming, Energy Eden, and White Rabbit Gaming Boosters have been teams for quite a long time.
Yeah.
They've played with each other, and they've built
Exactly.
synergy around each other, not bringing different pieces to the puzzle to build it. They've created the puzzle together, for lack of a better analogy, really, to give it to you
Yeah.
there. Unidentified coming in, and they're kind of like the wrecking ball, excuse the pun, with the new hero coming out. But they're kind of what just smashed right into Prem. I would say they were a bit unexpected coming through, with the raw power that they brought to the table. I'd say was
Yeah.
quite surprising.
Mm.
So comparing the 3 teams that have been together for quite a while, they're the traditional steadfast footholds in Premier Division that I don't think we've ever seen them close to dropping. Then if you
Yeah.
include Unidentified as this raw power, this unstoppable force that has come and smashed into Prem that only Eden, being a unmovable object, could really hold back.
Mm.
Comparing them to teams like Perseus Res, which I must say, a very strong team individually as well, similar to Unidentified. They're like, I would actually call them baby Unidentified.
Okay, I have to
Uh,
make sure you're not confusing Perseus and Prodigy.
yeah.
I am actually confusing the two.
Yeah,
It's,
because I was gonna say Perseus is.
I was,
is
I was
an
referring. They're so similar. It's like the same
Yeah.
thing that OG had with OG Omnis and OG Interitus. Perseus Res and Prodigy Res. I was actually referring to Prodigy there.
Yeah.
With the raw
Yeah,
power
your
they
your
have.
argument makes a whole lot more sense
Yeah.
now. I was like, I don't know if that's how I describe Perseus.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
how I
so-
would describe Prodigy.
Yeah, Prodigy, I would consider as like baby Unidentified. They have raw power, they're able to bring it through. They are quite a wrecking ball coming into it, and that's why they got to Premier Division from being in First Division and such.
Yeah.
And they've been in Prem for 2 legs now, is that correct?
This is a
Yeah,
second
this will
going
be
into
their
the second.
second.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the second time they've been here, and this would be the first time Perseus has been here, to my understanding,
Yeah.
without me going too deep into it.
100%.
Yeah, then Ominence moving up, of course. They were promoted from First Division up, which well done to them. They're quite a solid team as well, and I think they're the type of solid team that's also been similar to the top 3 that I mentioned. Save from Unidentified, they've been around with each other for quite a while. They've built synergy around each other's playstyles and such, and I'd say this also works for Berserk TCP.
Yeah.
Quite a similar personality of a team, looking from the outside in at the team as a total, not the players individually. Because I think individually those teams are extremely different. But I think they play a similar role in the narrative of Premier Division, as these footholds that are often in the middle ground of Premier.
Yeah.
And I know that Ominence has bounced back and forth between Prem at first as well. So what I would put the power rankings, if we actually go from the bottom 4 teams, because we've definitely decided unanimously who the top 4 are.
Who the
From the
top
bottom
Yeah.
4, I would say that we're looking at even it's a bit difficult for me to really decide on this power
Yeah.
level. I'd say the top of the bottom 4 would
Yeah.
be Prodigy. Then we're looking at a solid tie between Ominence and Berserk TCP. I don't.
I maybe disagree with you there, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I
finish.
disagree as well, but keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is completely opinion based, and that's why
You
I wanted to
know.
bring out this discussion. And then at the bottom there, that's just come up from Premier, would be Perseus Res. And the reason why I say that Berserk and Berserk TCP and Ominence are quite similar in being on the middle
Mhm.
ground of Prem, is just based off their score rankings that I've seen in the past 2 legs that I've been involved in
Yeah.
PS gaming.
Okay.
Nothing from previous experience from the last 2 legs
So-
or previous years that the teams have been playing.
Mm-mm.
And you'll see that their scorelines are a bit similar, albeit Berserk 2CP not quite jumping between the different divisions as much as Ominence has.
Yeah.
But the overall scores are quite similar if you compare them to what
Yeah.
Perseus and Prodigy have had, where Prodigy has had quite a commanding run through first division, which just bumps their scores up in a more positive light. And
So
Perseus has been also had quite a rocky in and out type of scoreline there.
Mm.
But that's why I put the
Yeah.
two together. I would definitely
So-
say that Berserk 2CP probably has more experience than Ominence.
yeah. So
Um,
I want to add, like, what I want to say is, like,
Mm.
between Prem and Division 1, it's like it's night and day, dude. Like 100%. Like, a lot of players who experience it, they'll tell you, like, the competition is more fierce in Prem. And you must remember as well, last leg, no Prem Division teams got really, like, inverted commas, got really relegated
yeah.
because people left.
Mm.
So they didn't have any challenge, like real, like, strong challenges from teams that actually knows, like, play the meta at a higher level than Div 1 and coming down, and they never had really, like, big challenges. Now they're coming into Prem where it's gonna be a huge eye opener. Like, I can't see, like, Perseus or what's the team's name now again? Ominence. Omnius. I don't know what's the
Ominence.
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 I don't see them really putting up a fight in Prem. They're gonna get a big shock on how really good Eden and Boostios and
I mean,
You know,
even just the bottom of the top
even
four are
2CP,
really good there.
there are teams
Yeah.
that bullies you, and, like, 2CP for me is very close to GG. I like if I had to, it's between, like, for me GG's fourth, and just like a
Sliver.
slither away is 2CP, and 2CP got, like, they are really been playing, like you said, playing so long together, and a team that also understands metas and understand how to counter T players and all that type of stuff. And yeah, for me, the two teams that went up not as strong as the power rankings that I just mentioned now.
So I've got a slightly different take from the
Yeah.
two of you, ever so slightly. My feeling is that this bottom four is going to depend a lot on what Prodigy does.
Yeah.
Because they're a team who's had some very inconsistent performances.
Yeah.
Depending on who's playing. If Draft is in, they can beat 2CP, right? They showed that last leg. If 2CP doesn't get their legs under them quickly enough, right? They can beat any of these four teams. I think Perseus is ostensibly the weakest of these four. Ominence comes in with a strong but not clean road through first division. They did drop a few games to interesting teams, and they have a very significant, I say this every time I talk about it, they have a very obvious and significant weakness when it comes to playing against Faris.
Yeah.
And in first division, you look at these teams. Goliath Gaming has got Laz. They've got, they've got the strong Faris
Like
player.
a Luke,
is
like a Luke.
incredible.
Got
Sponge,
Barnacle,
Squishy,
Sponge.
Barney. These are top tier Faris that are going to rip you a new one if you can't counter them. And I think they're going to struggle to break into that top four. But 2CP for me is a team that is very highly regarded by me.
Yes.
Just based on historical performances, and I think they really struggled last leg, but at the end they pulled it out, and I think they're gonna show where they are, how strong they are, and pull that fifth place in, and like Jen says, maybe even challenge Goliath Gaming. In my opinion, they're a cut below Goliath, and that top four is quite clearly a step ahead of the rest. But I think it's gonna be 2CP on top of this group. Then Prodigy and Ominence, again, I struggle to rank Prodigy because it's so dependent on how they perform on the day. They're a really strong team, and I wish they'd had the opportunity to get a proper roster nailed down, so we'd have a better sense of, and they would have a better sense of how they're going to run things. But unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword staying in Prem for Leg 4 because they didn't have an opportunity to fix their roster. So
that's a good point actually. With
Mhm.
the
so they're running with the same roster, which comes with the same roster issues as Leg 3. So really they could be best of the rest in terms of 5th to 8th, or they could be, bottom of the league. I just can't tell. But I think they're strong enough to take Perseus and strong enough to, no matter in what form they are, face Ominence and take games and beat them as well. So in my opinion, it's 2CP, Prodigy, Ominence, Perseus. That's what I see this playing out. But
yeah.
that's the bottom 4. And okay, so why don't we take it a step further here and say, if we take our bottom 4, put them against our top 4 of First Division, how do we think that Playoffs Cup, if that is how they end up deciding, how do we think that's going to play out? So your teams
Cool,
are
this is-
Ominence, Perseus, BZK, Prodigy versus Phoenix Rising, Dominion, Project Allflex, and Evo or Equinox.
Very tough to say at this very moment.
Yeah, this is going deep into the
Deep, yeah.
Deep,
predictions.
but this is where we are. It's okay. You guys can keep it brief. Just throw some names
I think
out there.
on top there it'll be 2CP in my opinion. They
Okay.
just a formidable tank lineup with DPS players that's been playing so long together. With the likes of Zombie and Easy, so they know each other through and through, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, 100%.
I can't see them not like, even when we played against them, you could see they know how to poke you down. They know how to, if they see a threat, they know how to avoid the threat. So yeah, they're a team that knows how to play Overwatch.
Definitely.
On top there will be, if we get our shit sorted, probably it will be between us and Prodigy coming second. And I have to say Prodigy is up there because they have players that's really strong, like Severin, Ericsson, and they support like the Mercy as well, the Clumsy KT as well.
Clumsy KT.
Yeah, Dizzy as well. Dizzy is showing he's a really good Zarya, and he made the transformation from DPS to off tank. So he's also a player to watch.
Quite a natural transition.
Yeah, very natural.
Yeah.
I think on that also the DPS combination of I'm going Hamzo and Ericsson.
Yeah.
Very, very strong on Prodigy as well.
Yeah, 100%. When Hamza's not playing Ryan, he's the one that's been flexing on.
No, Severin has been. It's between Severin.
Oh, you're 100% right.
And Hamza used to play sometimes off tank if they don't have.
Okay.
Yeah, Ledude.
The dude is
the
he
main tank.
wasn't playing. He is back, but he hasn't
back,
been playing for a lot of the matches.
He's the one that was missing and that was causing the Raft debate to happen so much times.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got those 3 pretty much accounted above the rest.
Yeah.
Maybe an Allflix in there to mix things up, or do you think they pretty solidly in 4th place?
Look, like I said on paper with us, if we, and I'll say this again, if we get our shit together, we should be on top there. We should be probably on the same, like when you mentioned 2CP, we must be on the same breath as them. So yeah, I would, like, I don't want to, it's not bias, it's just we have a little bit of kinks and stuff we need to sort out, so I'll rate us like 2CP just quite a bit ahead of us in terms of the experience. So if we can build up our experience this league, that's the 3 for me that can make it to Comic-Con.
Yeah, 100%. So there are 4. So there is one
Four.
slot available.
So the 4th will be for me between Project Allflex, Equinox, or
Evo or Evo.
Yeah, or Evo,
Same story.
Same
as
story.
First Division.
So they will have to fight it out. I'll have a better. I'll come back to you at the end of this league to tell you
At
like
the end of the league.
yeah.
We can update these predictions a lot more accurately. CloudBurst, what do you think? Much the same?
Okay, yeah, very much the same. If we go into it, I definitely think I'm gonna start from the bottom up. Just because I think I like going that way. It seems the cherry on the top for the last.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at the bottom there, I mean that's going to be players coming from First Division or low prem. So just looking at the kind of predictions we went with there and what we're looking at, Evolution Esports is definitely going to either be in third or fourth, from my opinion, I think. That highly depends on how well Prodigy plays throughout this current leg. It's a bit difficult. This is why I said we're going deep into
Yeah,
predictions,
yeah.
because we still have another leg which can
Predictions,
change a
predictions
lot of
upon
things.
predictions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's layers here. So yeah, as I said, I think it's heavily deciding on what Prodigy does really. But if I just give you a quick, let's give it a quick run. I think fourth would be Evolution. Then we're
Okay.
going to look at third probably being Prodigy Res. Then I think we're going to see Phoenix Rising, and first place we'll probably see 2CP. Just from what you guys have discussed about them, it's actually bringing back thoughts of mine of when I have seen them play, and away from just the scoreboard, they definitely do pack that Goliath Gaming minus X. They're just behind that. I think their playstyle is a bit different to what Goliath Gaming has, especially being Goliath Gaming having a very unique playstyle, very aggressive. I think that's kind of the difference, but I can definitely see them coming out above. But I also feel it's going to be quite a tight one. Once again, I think that the wild card here is just Prodigy. They can what they do in this current leg and what we see if they do get into this cup can massively change the outcome of the other three teams. So it's a bit of a difficult one there, but yeah, as I said, so Berserk, 2CP, Phoenix Rising, Overwatch, Prodigy, and then Evo Esports Evolution.
Cool. So I think I'm pretty much in agreement here. There's a pretty good consensus going for the most part. I think we're looking at 2CP on top, we're looking at Phoenix Rising in second. We're looking at I have a confidence in Prodigy that comes from playing them before as well. So I'm putting them in that third, maybe even second, depending on where we are by the time that Playoffs Cup rolls around. So I think those three for me are shoo-in. Then I think we're downplaying Ominence a little bit here. I think they've got the potential to really put in a strong performance. And I think of the teams in first division, Allflex has a very convincing victory over them. But Ominence will be bolstered by a very, I hope they'll be bolstered by a very challenging Premier Division season where they'll learn a lot, pull in a lot of information from the top teams and hopefully come with something special to beat Project Allflex. And I think they'll take that fourth spot. Or otherwise it's Allflex's next. I think it's a pretty close call between the two of them given their history, their head-to-head history.
Yeah.
So I think that about sums it up. We spoke about the top four of Premier. Yeah, we have definitely. So yeah, I think that about sums it up.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at a really exciting leg, and I can't wait to see how this leg plays out. And then
hopefully this end of the season we don't see teams disbanding because of financial issues or people just can't make it. So hopefully we see a nice transition from the end of the league, end of the season to Comic-Con.
Yes. So allow me briefly to address, related to this point, to address all captains. If you are anywhere on the list to go to Comic-Con, if anyone disbands, play and practice as if you're going to Comic-Con. So often there are things, especially with the fact that there's no roster changes. Because last year there was an open roster, there was an open transfer window between the end of Playoffs Cup and the beginning of Rage. So you saw teams like Nova X with 6 new players. You saw teams like Phoenix Rising with 2 or 3 new players. A lot of teams that were relying on internationals had new players. Aftermath ended up not going. Moves ended up not going. So if you're anywhere on that list of people who could potentially go, if you're finishing 5th through 8th of the Playoffs Cup, play like you're going to Comic-Con. Anything can happen, especially now that the transfer window's closed.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good takeaway for the situation, but also overall, I think regardless of the situation, you should be playing I know it's exhausting to play the top of your game so often, but
Mm.
keep assuming for the best, and you'll find yourself improving in a rate that is equivalent to your expectations
So
compared to you just playing it out.
only to play just to play a devil's advocate, because I've been on the side of that, and we had a roster that could go right, but there is a lot of negativity to, like, not negativity, but I could say, like, how can I say, aspects that will bring players down, that they have to bring their own PC and things like that, and it's just like a big, like, then there's also players that's like underage as well that need to ask their parents, and then it becomes a whole, like, you know what I mean, mess up, and then
it is a whole thing.
Yeah, and then just to be very realistic here, and then there's also situations where teams are just close friends that play together. Like, for example, unidentified. I'm not saying they're not going to go, but I'm just saying, like, just imagine they have to have the split where it's like half of the team is like saying, oh, no, but my mom either said this, I can't afford to take my PC there.
They're also very young,
and
like you say.
and they don't have also sponsorship and I'm just talking on experience. So hopefully some NGOs is listening to this. There's like a team like Unidentified, strong team. Also a team like Phoenix Rising, sorry.
You're also on the SunPhoenix fan. Trinoc, every time.
Sorry,
but team. I'm the whole team.
If you NGOs are looking for some teams, you can give me a call.
I mean,
so
we're currently August, so if you can pay our way to Comic-Con if we qualify, please get hold of me.
At the end of the day, it's a huge opportunity, and Comic-Con is also bringing a lot of famous people, I believe. I've seen quite a few tweets of some of the people going to be there.
Trickle down to us, though. I think we might be shifted off into a little corner.
Yeah, but it will open up for NGOs. Like if players are walking around with their t-shirts, it's already like advertising. You know what I mean? So it's a huge opportunity for NGOs. So if you're listening to this, please take a look at the Overwatch leagues and see what teams are orgless at the moment.
100% though. Unidentified is the team you want.
Yeah, and then second,
we nobodies.
Second,
Unidentified.
Rising. Second,
that's the team you
second, Phoenix Rising.
Okay, second Phoenix Rising. Second Phoenix Rising. For sure. I think Ominence is also orgless now, which I didn't mention.
Yeah.
But they have now left Omnius Gaming.
Yeah.
Yo, that's a mouthful.
But look here, we're still waiting for.
We don't know why.
Yeah, we're still waiting for a. What was it? I think we're saying like a statement, a public
statement,
official statement. So, look here. There's enough guys that's been in and out of the Overwatch scene for quite a while now. So I'm sure they have they have a plan on how they're gonna approach it, and if they are gonna be going to Comic-Con, they must be somewhere. And I believe a lot of them are from Joburg as well. So it might turn out good for them. There might be very valid reasons why they did end up leaving. So let's see what they say.
Throwing their name into the orgless hat there.
Yeah.
If any organizations are looking for teams.
So I just thought it was good that we mentioned it on the show as well, because not a lot of people know that at the moment. Yeah.
So I think that about sums it up. Thanks so much for joining us for episode 7 of the COWSA podcast.
There's something I just need to mention before we close off. Next week we've got a very, very special guest. We'll reveal the name sometime in the week, or maybe Monday, Tuesday, so keep your ears out for that. We're probably going to do some like Q&As with the person. So when we mention you guys, we'll probably have like a platform for you guys to ask us questions, to ask the special guest some very exclusive questions. So yeah,
we'll say your name on stream.
So
look
forward to that. Cool. And then again, Pugs going on right now. So if you guys wanna play some Pugs, just hit that exclamation Pugs in the chat. And get some Overwatch going.
And follow us on Twitter. That's things I'm not doing. Introducing myself and plugging our socials. So CloudBurst, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? So on Twitter, you can find me under JM CloudBurst. On Twitch, you can find me on CloudBurst Live. And soon I'm gonna have YouTube up with all my previous casts, doing my casts onto YouTube instead of Twitch, which is gonna be under CloudBurst Casts. So You got all three with
Awesome.
different names. I'm here to confuse you.
Jane, where can they find you?
Cool. You can find me on twitch.tv/GeneralSound and on Twitter, GeneralSound as well. But if you want to be very specific, with the /GeneralSound DNB.
And that's on YouTube as well.
YouTube as well, /GeneralSound DNB. Yeah.
Yeah. So my name is SunPhoenix. As you know, you can find me at SunPhoenix, SunPheonyx.
Say that again.
And SunPh.
Isn't that SunPhoenyx? Just kidding. Love you, son.
That's why I have to spell it for you, dog. Because people are gonna be like, I'm gonna find this guy. He doesn't exist. So that's the only place I exist other than on Discord.
And
So
it will be on the links down below on YouTube.
Yes.
So we put all the guests in with their Twitter handles, YouTube, where you can find them. So if you missed it, just check on the COWSA YouTube channel. Look at any of the podcasts with CloudBurst, myself, and SunPhoenix, and you'll find all our Twitter handles in there. And, well, our social media platforms. Cool. I lost you guys there for a second.
Okay, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. I think that's literally all you missed.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you soon.
Cheers, everyone.